You are running with the Devils and the first show of 2024. Can I get the music going? Little Van Halen, our namesake. Yes, yes, yes. And we're all running with the Devils, aren't we? It's here in 2024. Our first show of the season, our 2024 season kickoff show. I'm the RyKno, Ryan Knowles. Here with me, as always, my colleague and partner and good friend, Big John Caldwell.
Yo, yo, yo.
And Big John, a second straight season of 3-9, but a second season under Kenny Dillingham. Things are looking up, I think, for in Sun Devil land. Even though we haven't had the wins to show for it, I think this team is trending in the right direction. You and I both went up to Tonazona this year. Both had, got a good look at the Devils. You've gone to practice. What's your initial, bird's eye view of the 2024 Arizona State Sun Devils?
You got to hand it to the coaches and the staff for going out and really working hard to make great improvements on both sides of the ball. We're going to talk about the numbers, a record number of portal kids running here, but kids that can play. So I'm really impressed with the athleticism. We've really kicked up the athleticism on both sides of the ball. We're longer. We are more athletic on both sides of the ball, and especially on the back end of the defense. We're longer and more athletic. There's speed all over the place. I think, folks, you're going to be really impressed with some of these groups, some of these position groups, and how much depth we have right now. Depth is I think the biggest thing you're going to see as a product.
And we will certainly get into that depth in detail here a little bit later in the show. We want to start out, of course, talking. We love Arizona State football. We love talking it with you, and we're happy to bring you another season of Running with the Devils, our 9th, if you can believe it. We started all the way back in 2016, and not even COVID could stop us from talking everything ASU football here. And we're ready to activate the Valley right along with you as the Devils start season 1 in the Big 12. Certainly, I think a little bit of a step up in competition. Kind of a double-edged sword. I think we've talked about playing these Big 12 opponents last year a little bit when the move first came down and the news first came down. But it's gonna suck not going to California and the schools up there in the Northwest. But trips to Texas, Florida, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, nothing to scoff at there, Big John.
We're racking up the frequent flyer miles, and
yes, we are.
And I think these
us and the rest of college football.
It's pretty wild to see how much travel we're going to do. But so the games in black are these are our opponents.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to playing in this conference, RyKno, because I think there's some great natural rivalries. I can really see Texas Tech being a natural rivalry.
We've played them a couple of times.
Yeah, and I think just because of the fan base and how virulent their fans are, and how knowledgeable Oklahoma State's going to be a natural rivalry, and then we're rekindling BYU, which was a longtime WAC rival,
right.
And we have a lot of BYU fans here in the Valley. So this is a step up in terms of quite a few. I mean, you hate to see the Pac did what happened to the Pac. Is really, there are books going to be written about this for generations on how the leadership really failed us on this one. But obviously, when Phil Knight folded his cards, everybody else had to fold too.
That was the time. I mean, we already knew USC was leaving. You had to know they were going to take UCLA with them and they end up in the Big Ten. Oregon, Washington go with them.
The ultimate
after that, I mean, you lose those markets, and
but the ultimate karma is happening right now. Comcast is refusing to broadcast UCLA, USC, and Oregon games right now until they get $10 more per subscriber. So
we don't live in their market. Jeez,
my goodness,
that's
what
for the
mess.
local. That's not for out of market. That's for in market people.
That is correct. What a night!
Plain greedy.
Yeah.
In any case, moving on here, we'll get into the schedule here in just a little bit. But we'll talk about all of this. We touched on some of this in the opener. But season 2 under Coach Kenny Dillingham, little bit of a deeper roster. Depth was an issue at a lot of positions last year, which resulted in the record the way it was. Certainly had some health problems. Not quite as many as last year going into the season, Big John, and also don't have a couple. There were a couple guys who were out due to transfer rules, which ended up getting changed in December,
Right.
and those are no longer a problem. And then and every team goes through coaching changes in the off season, and we'll get into those here in just a little bit. So a few new assistants coming on, and a new athletic director, Graham Rossini,
A
ASU
Sunday
alum.
Yep.
Yes, an ASU alum. That's right. And so far, he's done the media tour. He's gone around, pressed the flesh. Saw him on the Diamondbacks game the other night. Certainly saying a lot of the right things. Doing some. It feels like he's definitely being a little bit more personable than Ray Anderson was. Feels like he's making a good impression in his first few months on the job.
He really understands the need for engaging really he's embraced the Activate the Valley completely, and he gets trying to make better fan experience out of all the sports. And he started with football. He's already lowered the cost of the parking. He's really working on things like food, things that are sort of from the core out, the core experience out. He'll be walking the tailgates this weekend, Saturday, and my booster club is really pressing him to add more time to the tailgating, which I think is a natural. But he has assured us he's running that up the flagpole, and that is an issue. He wasn't even aware that we had a 5-hour limit when we brought it up to him last week. So
I mean, if you want to compete with if you really want to be among the elite fan bases in college football, you got to let the diehards, come out extra early if that's what they want.
And if you see Graham walking around the tailgates on Saturday, make a point of it. Say, hey, look, can we add a couple more hours, or because I think he gets it. But
sure.
I'm very impressed. I haven't met an AD. I've known him all the way back since '78, who can meet you one time and remember your name. I mean, everybody, he remembers your name. He has people skills. It's really, and he's very. He doesn't want to come off as the smartest guy in the room. He wants to engage the fans, because he realizes there's so many new opportunities in this new league for bringing more fans into the fold here.
I think recognizing that is going to be a big key going forward. So we'll see how the athletic department runs under its new director, Graham Rossini. So we're definitely looking forward to that. And then we'll get into our season preview, of course. Talk about all the players to watch. We'll give our predictions for who's going to shine, who to watch out for, and of course our records going in. And then we got to. I know it's painful, but we got to recap the 2023 season as well. Obviously, we talked about the 3-9 record. Injuries certainly plagued several positions, including the offensive line and the quarterback position as well. I mean, it started from the get-go, because Jaden Rashada, the true freshman who was expected to be the program's savior, gets hurt in the first game. An old high school injury that kind of got re-aggravated, and then he had to have surgery and didn't come back until the last few weeks of the season. Trenton Bourget came in, again, not the most durable guy. He got banged up. We thought Drew Pine was going to kind of be the guy. He got hurt at Tonazona, comes back. He's not really all that effective. And then Jacob Conover, the BYU transfer, just didn't turn out to be that effective as well. And then, the team was kind of looking anywhere to generate any kind of offense, and they were going to Cam Scatabo and Jalen Conyers. Taking snaps. So,
it was
very, very unorthodox.
It was next man up for sure. And it was untenable. I think at one point we traveled with 7 scholarship linemen complete. We were that messed up.
That was the time that Isaiah Glass decided he wanted to transfer. He goes to Utah, doesn't do anything there, and then he's at Oklahoma State now.
Right.
So that guy.
We'll see you on November 4th.
Looking forward to it. And then, moving on here, just a few bright spots. The win over Southern Utah, obviously, to open the Kenny Dillingham era. Then the upsets of Wazoo at home, UCLA on the road. Our last matchup against UCLA as a conference foe, we beat them, in Pasadena,
We outcoached them.
using a very unorthodox style, with that swinging gate offense that somehow worked and nullified their D line and managed to pull it out. So that was a very interesting game to watch.
That should really have sent a message to everybody that this group of coaches were it wasn't a gadget as much as it was they outcoached them. We played very stout defense in that game, if you recall.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with it. It wasn't just an offensive wrinkle that hadn't been used around here forever. But yeah, I think that just showed that this group of coaches, when they really put their mind to it, came up with a good strategy. And I will defend. Everybody wants to talk about 3-9, but I keep reminding you, we were one play away in 3 games from pulling off 3 more wins: Cal, Colorado, and UW. You like to think that we really were favored in Cal, and we lost that. But there was 3 more wins out there, folks, that we were a play away. So yeah,
the Colorado and UW games especially stick out in my mind as far as maybe if we had 1 or 2 more players, certainly we'd probably win those games going away as well as we played. So certainly some bright spots, some things to look forward to, some things to build on going into 2024, and it's here. We've arrived. So. And even on games when they were getting blown out, it was good to see them not quit on the coaching staff, not get down on each other, just stay focused, stay at the game at hand, and just try to do their best on the next play. I think that's a testament to the coaching and the fact that they didn't just try to fold it up, and guys weren't just transferring left and right. It was they were really focused on just playing together and being there for one another.
Yeah, we lost a like Badger to money. That's clear.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, the people who transferred out of here were really just not going to get playing time.
With the exception of Jaden Rashada, I would agree with that.
Yeah, well, Rashada, I have to say, the kid played for 7 different schools in 7 years, 4 high schools and 3 college programs, and so, I mean, I know he's, I think he's actually a good kid, a really good kid. I would, and I will just tell you this: it was not that he was beat out in the spring; he was hurt. He really felt like he wasn't being given the time and the attention by Arroyo and others to just do the mental rep stuff and talking to him about where he might fit in later. So and that's a tough thing. We had we have brought in some other quarterbacks to help build the room. It's a nice room. I'm just going to tell you right now, folks, it's a good room. We'll get into the depth chart here in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get into that here in a minute. But here's the schedule as it breaks down. Obviously we're starting with Wyoming on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Then the SEC's Mississippi State Bulldogs come, and I know that they're going to travel a little bit. There'll be some invasion of red and white in.
It's maroon, baby. They're maroon.
No, they're going to turn it into Starkville West in all likelihood, and then your first road contest of the year against Texas State. And then of course they'll stay on the road at Texas Tech, come back home and play Kansas.
You got a nice buy in there. You got a really good
there is buy. Thank you. Yes,
that's going to help. That's going to help.
After 4 weeks, I think that's a good place for one to kind of take stock, see where you're at, and build on that. And then you got Kansas coming in. Very very good team. Got 2 extremely good teams back to back in Kansas and Utah on a short week. Utah is a Friday night game, and then you got to go to Cincinnati, which elements hopefully won't play a big factor, and that'll be October 19th.
Another week or two, it's going to start spitting. It could be spitting with a little sleet, snowy. I mean, I've lived back there, so it can start.
Yeah, I was going to say you would know better than me. And then another bye, and then Oklahoma State November 2nd, coming home finally against UCF.
Right.
At Kansas State, another big game. The Wildcats, really, really tough team.
Lance Leopold.
Yep. Well, no, he's the Kansas coach.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I've got
And then
Yep.
Kansas State. Yeah, obviously Kansas State, and then BYU's another big game. The new conference opponent, new old conference opponent, and then obviously the rivalry game down in Tucson against the Mild Rats. They have big expectations coming into this year with with new coach Brent Brennan, Jed Fish leaving, obviously to go coach Washington. We'll see where they're at. As always, going to keep a close eye on them. They have expectations coming into the season for the first time in a long time. So we'll see where they're at when it's all said and done. But moving on here, as
one thing that has not changed, Ryan, we're going to this new conference. The smack talk between these two schools. I mean, I've been looking at all the boards, the Big 12 boards. People are blown away from the other schools about how much hate there is in this. They all have their rivals. They all talk about their rivals. They are all uniformly saying, "We get it. You guys are a different level." Different freaking level, man.
Well, this ain't Kansas State. Okay, we're
no
100-year rivals.
Yeah.
So
this ain't BYU Utah, man. I mean, this is
this ain't the Holy War.
This ain't Texas.
This ain't Texas Tech.
This ain't Texas Tech and Baylor, man. This is a whole.
Oh no. Yes. So this is going to be. It should be an interesting season to see. I mentioned the level of competition. There are no Washington States or Oregon States or Stanford, Cal's, whoever the cupcake was that year. There really aren't any cupcakes on this schedule for the most part. Everybody's talented. Everybody's got a certain level of talent. They're competitive basically, and it's not going to be a cakewalk 1 week. Just about every game is going to be extremely competitive. So
and we want this. We want to be able to go into some of these markets, especially the Texas market where we've got to recruit, right?
Yeah, and we've started to certainly.
You want to be able to play TCUs and Baylor's and Tech. You want to play these. We want to play there because there's so many players that are going to get passed over by Texas and A&M who instead of going.
That's how we recruited California. We recruited California the exact same way. So absolutely. As we look at the coaching staff, new offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Marcus Arroyo comes over from UNLV. Bo Baldwin looked good on paper when he was brought in last year, former head coach, but just never clicked with Kenny Dillingham. His play calling duties were taken away after the third week.
Yeah.
You kind of tell that he was on his way out.
Yeah, I thought he was playing 4-down football, to be frank with you, and
they were going for it a lot on 4th down, but you don't necessarily want to go into a season.
We had no choice. Yeah, that was the only way we could stay in games. Hope to stay in games was going for 4th down. I'm not. A lot of teams are doing that.
Yeah, true. But I mean, you want to play for 4th and short. It didn't feel like he was.
Absolutely.
Quite a bit. So, new wide receivers coach might sound familiar to you NFL fans. Hines Ward, the 6-time Pro Bowler and 2-time Super Bowl winner, brought on to replace Rashad Samples, who was a great recruiter. And when that happens, when you recruit really well, you're going to get poached by a bigger program, and that's exactly what happened as he moves on to Oregon. D-line coach Deron Reynolds has been a defensive assistant for a long time.
Solid.
He replaces Vince Amy, just a little bit better of a, more technique, more experience, just a little bit better recruiter. I like Vince Amy a lot, but I still feel like that's an upgrade there. Matt Butterfield, who's been with Kenny Dillingham since he was at Memphis. He was on the ASU staff as well under Todd Graham. He gets promoted. He's going to be working with Charlie Regal on the special teams and wearing a few different hats on that staff as well.
He's really happy not to be the chief of staff. He's actually he's gone from 4 hours of sleep a week to 5. He's getting a little more sleep. I love Matt.
There we go. And then
Matt
the rest of the staff is pretty much the same. Brian Carrington's done a great job recruiting Texas.
Right.
Jason Mons, he's the former Saguaro coach. He's done a good job recruiting locally. So
he's pulling his numbers.
Yeah.
I like the fact that we kept AJ Cooper really solid guy. Our
Well, yeah,
O-line,
he was
O-line.
Ward's guy. He was Ward's guy at Washington State.
Well,
So.
and do not underestimate Saga. He's been pulling numbers like crazy, and he's got the Polynesian pipeline warmed up pretty nicely too.
And this offensive line being, you'll see it on Saturday. It's much improved from last year, not just because they're
Oh,
healthy, but because they're bigger, they're more, their technique is better.
te-
He's a big reason why.
absolutely.
Definitely. And
So that
as much as the coaching staff has changed, again, there were a few names here. 42 transfers from the portal, 59 new players overall. A lot of turnover. But that's the way college football is kind of going. Seems like it's a bunch of, used to be if you had a dozen players from the portal, you were, that was considered a lot. And now it seems like the whole roster is turning over almost every year. It's kind of like the new evolution of the junior college model almost here in the, if you're not, it feels like if you're not, coming in with a bag from the SEC or the Big Ten, you're going to be looking at a lot of new players every year.
Yeah, and that's gonna change here. One, if you win, and two, as we start to win,
Sure.
NIL money will start flowing in. It's not sustainable to have 42 transfers a year. It really isn't. If you really want to be a top 25 program, I believe. I mean, you look at top 25 programs.
You're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong. It's just a matter of kind of getting, winning cures all. I mentioned
right.
that during our pre-show. If you can manage to win and show that you're serious about contending for
Yeah.
conference and hopefully national championships, you're going to get the players that you want to stay. And every team has players out of the portal. You're going to get the players you want out of the portal who can kind of fill in.
On the flip side, as you win too, especially if you get a better bowl, let's say you get 7 wins and you get, just like Rashad Samples was pulled out of here, you might lose a few coaches out of here too. I mean, we really didn't have that big, and you don't expect a lot of coaches to leave at 3-9. At 7, 8, 9, 10 wins, you're gonna have turnover. Look at Oregon, look at Michigan, look at Ohio State. They all lost, and everybody got upgraded to really nice positions.
Yeah,
out there.
very true.
But
here we are in 2024 Arizona State Sun Devils, and we got to start, of course, at the quarterback. Sam Levitt named the starter a couple weeks ago. Transfer from Michigan State. Liked what I've seen from him so far, especially on the short intermediate throws. His deep ball still needs a little work. He needs a little bit of touch, especially when it comes to throwing the ball into the bucket, so to speak. He throws a little too much on a line, but not a lot of touch, unfortunately. I'm hoping that'll kind of come with. Hopefully that'll come with time. But then Trent Bourget continues to hang around. He continues to be here. Love him for that, and that he's managed to stick around. He's a joy to have in that quarterback room. It's like another coach in that room, and he's definitely got a great head for the game, and a guy who's a reliable backup.
Yeah, and don't forget, Sam's biggest attribute and why he has this job is not because of his deep ball, really. And while he can throw a deep ball, it's still not that accurate. And the problem I've seen in practice is if he misses on a deep ball, the next ball is even longer. So that's a weird thing that a lot of young quarterbacks do. I don't understand it, and he does it. But his biggest attribute is that he's going to stretch plays out with his legs, folks. He has a great ability to stretch plays out, as does Sims. In fact, Sims, because he's so much bigger and has that same attribute, same capability, will probably be a short yardage quarterback. It's likely you might see him in a package inside the 10-yard line to hit the 8.
If they need to sneak or they want to give the teams another look, that's certainly one way that they could go. Jeff Sims, of course, the Nebraska transfer. Like Levitt, has some ability with his legs. Definitely a good runner.
Just stretch plays, yeah.
Not quite the thrower that Levitt is.
Well, he throws in bad. He forces ball. Yeah, he throws balls into traffic, into places he shouldn't be putting it.
He had a couple bad interceptions up at Tonazona, so. Levitt's been able to hang on. Has been able to take care of the ball, not turn it over, and sometimes that's good enough to win. So
I mentioned in the pregame and the pre-show, I don't think you're going to look for Sam for the most part, by this staff to be the guy who, comes from behind to lead you, some dramatic big plays. I really think Sam's going to be in a position of managing games. And Kenny even said last night on his radio show, don't be surprised if this is a boring offense, 4 yard, because of the depth of our running back room. If we're not,
It
you're
works
not
for
seeing
Iowa.
3.5, 4 yards a carry, but we'll use that ability to wear teams down with that, and
Yes.
especially early on in the heat to win games. So don't be
And
folks.
watch for Levitt to run as well. He's got
Yeah.
some ability with his legs
Oh.
too.
Yep.
So definitely something to keep an eye out. I like the athletic ability at the quarterback
By the way,
position.
if he's running, don't folks. It's by design. These plays are designed to be stretched out. They're very pro style in the way that the quarterback rolls and is looking. But when chaos ensues, his first inclination is not to throw the ball. It is to run the ball, which is that warms my heart, right?
I mean, if it's there, if you got a lane, take it.
Right.
Tuck and run. Nobody's going to fault you for that if it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely looking forward to watching him play. I like what I saw in the spring. For the spring, he had a nice rushing touchdown in the spring game. There's some things to like. Certainly, I liked a couple of his passes. Certainly, especially in the short and intermediate game. I feel like we won't get into the receiving core here in a minute, but I feel like it's good enough. They can make plays after the catch. You can just get them the ball in the right area, out in front. Let them do the rest. They'll make you look good.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving on to the running backs, this is a much deeper room than last year. Of course, Cam Scatabo was kind of the bell cow from last year because they had some injury issues, and he probably will be to a certain extent this year. I think he'll certainly be the first one off the bench. The starter going initially at least, but expect to see Kyson Brown and DeCarlos Brooks quite a bit. DeCarlos Brooks, he had some nice games last year when he was healthy. He had a 2-touchdown game against Washington State, which was really encouraging. I like him. I like his game a lot. And then, you got guys coming off the bench that are really good. Raleek Brown's dealing with an injury right now, but he's a former 5-star from USC that looks like he's going to make a major impact when he gets on the field.
He's instant speed, Ryan. So a lot of running backs take maybe 2-3 strides to get up to speed. Instant, first, like Barry Sanders, one straight, and he's in that top gear.
Burst. Yeah, just a burst right there. Yeah.
And by the way, folks,
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him get on the field. So
Cam Scatabo has probably lost 12, 15 pounds, and he looks really good. And he hasn't lost anything in terms of length, strength, or fight. Everybody, he became the fan.
I want to see him still running guys over because he was, really good, in the red zone last year in short yardage. I like his game a lot. He's very elusive, very low to the ground, tough to bring down.
Yep.
I want to see more of that from him. And Kyson Brown is a little bit more of a speed guy. He got some run last year as a true freshman, which was encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like he's kind of upped his game a little bit from last year, become a little bit more well-rounded. I'm definitely looking forward to watching him play as well. And then going down the depth chart a little bit, you got Alton McCaskill, who's bounced around a little bit. He was with Colorado more recently. A lot to like in his game as well. I liked what I saw from him up at Tonazona. Guy who runs downhill, one cut and go type of back. Kind of a tweener, not the biggest guy, but he runs big, which is very encouraging. I'm sure we'll see a little bit of him. And then the true freshman, Jason Brown, who comes out of one of the most prestigious high school programs in the nation, from O'Day High School up in Seattle. If you watch his tape, man, that kid will just blow you away. He looks really, really good. Certainly a little, increase in competition. We'll see what he looks like if and when he gets on the field as well.
So you're going to hear the name Brown a lot this year.
What can Brown do for you?
Yes. Ball carried by Brown.
Yeah, you probably just got to use their first name to kind of differentiate between them, because Tyson and Raleek look very similar. They look very similar, so you kind of have to.
Yeah, but Raleek has this instant speed, Ryan. It's just scary.
Yeah.
And what I love is He got in. He pulled a really bad hammy on the first day of practice inside the dome, and I thought it was cramp, but no, he had a pretty good hammy. And it looks like, and he's been running around in shells without contact, but he's just about ready to go. I'd say
But yeah,
he'll Mississippi
coach
State.
said he's about 90%,
Yeah,
so he
yeah.
should be good to go for Mississippi State. He probably he's not going to play this week against Wyoming, but watch for him against Mississippi State because he has SEC speed.
Yes, yeah, it's pretty
So
fun.
yeah, and then the wide receivers, much different look from last year. Of course, we mentioned Elijah Badger transferring to Florida, but lots to like here. Jordan Tyson was hurt for much of last year. You might remember that name from 2 years ago when he put on a show up in Boulder when he was playing for Colorado against
Hmm.
ASU. Caught a long touchdown, returned a punt for a touchdown, 88 yards. He's an exciting player. We're looking for big things out of him this year. I think he's got the potential to be a number one receiver in this offense. And then,
Close.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say close behind him. It really, I think Tyson's probably your number one target. X is probably right there in Stovall. Jake Smith though has this great ability to pull away in his routes and get separation. He is fast. Um,
Gatorade National Player of the Year out of Notre Dame Prep a couple years ago.
yep.
Very exciting. He hasn't actually caught a football in a live game in about 3.5 years.
Right.
December of 2020, when he was still in Texas, is the last time he actually caught a football. He's in a game. He's battled some injuries. He's he had those transfer issues last year when he was coming over from USC, but he looks hungry. He looks
Yep.
hungry out there out on the field. I know he's looking forward to getting back in. And then you got Malik McLean, who's a big guy
Hmm.
coming over from Penn State. Lot to like from him. He's 6'4". He should be a nice red zone target. I'm
50
looking for
balls.
good things out of him. And then another guy that I really liked last year when he came on the scene is Xavier Guillory.
Oh,
Elquan
yeah.
Stovall will probably alternate with Jake Smith in the slot. Lot to like out of this receiving core.
I tell you,
Nobody's really gonna leap out at you and say, "Oh, that's another first round pick." But certainly guys who can be effective and make some plays for you out there.
this kid at camp, Derek Esquebo up at camp was making absolute
Eusebio,
Esquibio was making circus catches, and it was just flash all over the place, folks. Um,
yeah.
and
And
also,
Troy O'Meara flashed at times last year. He was a big mismatch for a lot of teams. They were looking for him down the field quite a bit. I'm thinking he's going to make some plays at some point this year. You got the true freshman Zachariah Sample in the mix. Caleb Black flashed a couple times last year as a true freshman, and then the walk-on Derek Eusebio should be in the mix as well. So
I'll give you
lot to like from this group.
a guy who's been running with the twos off and on all camp was Coben Bourget too. And
Yeah,
he's got a big
yeah,
catching radius. He makes all kinds of circus catches, but and yeah, he's really improved, folks. He's been running
yeah.
with the top.
Trenton's brother. He's kind of bounced between being a tight end and a receiver, but it looks like he's kind of found a home as a receiver, and
Yeah,
I'm hoping he gets some chances this year as well.
right.
So
Interesting group. We're very blessed, I think, at wide receiver, folks. We're really gonna have
there's a lot to like there, and they've been coached up quite a bit by Hines Ward. All the players have raved about how he's kind of helped
detail.
them hone their game. So
Detail.
he's teaching them the fine art of the option route, which is a
Right, there you go.
staple of receivers in the NFL. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who kind of separates themselves and becomes there's some playmakers in this group. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they look like come Saturday. And then the tight end position, we got a couple nice transfers here after Jalen Conyers moves over to Texas Tech. Jamon Medier looks like a man child.
Yeah.
He has got some nice size at 6'4", 255. And Marcus, he's a good receiver. Marcus Douglas, a little bit more of a true blocker, and he's
Right.
huge. He looks like an offensive lineman out there. He's 6'5", 275.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see what this new look tight end group looks like going out there.
Harpole has been flashing all camp, so he's really pushing hard to get some playing time, folks.
A lot to like out of this group. I mean, they got some nice size that should definitely benefit the rushing attack as well. Jaden Fortier, who's coming off a ACL injury that he had in high school last year, was one of the highest ranked tight ends in the nation coming in. You probably won't see much of him this year because he's still kind of working his way back from that injury. But once he does get on the field, he should be an exciting player as well. Moving on to the offensive line, and
big boys
really struggled last year, but it looks like they're going to be. They should be fine. They should be in a better spot. They're certainly in a better position than they were last year at this point. With some of the transfers that they brought in, Jeff Atkins from Hawaii looks like he's going to be the starting left tackle at least initially. Emmett Boley, who's now in his third year here. He's battled some injuries, but he's been effective playing both left and right tackle. He's going to be kind of the swing guy, at least initially the swing backup, but he could get some time as well. And then Jalen Clem, who they brought in from Washington specifically to be the left tackle, has battled some kind of health issue that the team, for HIPAA reasons, can't really go into detail on. Hopefully we'll see him at some point this year, but they haven't really given a time frame for when and if he'll be back. Left guard Ben Coleman, who was a big get from Cal last year, got hurt in the spring and just never really made it back. He had a tough, really tough injury that he looks like he's healthy, or looks like he's going to be one of the anchors on that offensive line. And then one of my favorite players on this team, Lee Fatanu, came over from UNLV last year and really locked down that center spot. He's on the Remington Award watch list this year for the best, as one of the best centers in all of college football. I'm really looking forward to what Coleman and Fatanu do on the inside of that offensive line, paving the way for those running backs.
Coleman is your captain. He's your Pat Tillman counsel. This is something new, folks. By the way, the Tillman leadership
group. Council, yes.
And that patch, everyone's going to focus in with the camera on what's going on with that patch, and of course, they're going to have to roll the B-roll on who Pat Tillman was. It's going to help the brand. It's going to help recruiting. It's going to do a lot of things for us. It's a real smart move to, this was all voted on by players. But Coleman, if you listen to Coleman speak, he's very, very. He's likely to be a football analyst when he's done. He really knows the inside game.
Well, his dad played in the NFL for a few years. I remember him with the Cardinals.
Right.
So he certainly got that pedigree. So definitely looking forward to seeing what he does this year. And then right guard, it's kind of a platoon at the moment with Cade Briggs and Kyle Scott. Feels like Kyle Scott's been here forever. He's moved around quite a bit. Cade Briggs, it felt like when he came over from Purdue, played just about every spot on the offensive line last year. They moved him all over the place.
He was.
Hopefully he's kind of found a permanent position at that right guard spot, because he's got some, prototypical guard size at 6'3", 305. Certainly a lot to like there from the redshirt senior who's played some big games coming over from Purdue. And then Maxa Hanajor, who kind of was a surprise last year as a JUCO transfer.
He got hurt.
Came on and played because of injury, and really helped lock down one of the tackle spots. And it looks like he's going to be, at least initially, the starter at right tackle to open the season. And there's a lot to like with him.
I love
him in the pre-show.
Oh yeah, he has the best out of all the offensive linemen we have, folks. He has the most draftable body, and how he runs. He does not look or run like an offensive lineman. He runs like a DN. and yet, so he keep your eye on Max at right tackle. I think he's 57 is his number. He will, and when he gets out and pulls, good Lord, he's going to be
58.
58. That's it. 57, 58. Yeah,
Yeah.
58. He's going to be a load. You're going to have to you're going to take your life in your hands if you have to take him on. if you're undersized.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to this crew doing work because
Right.
I like some of the positions. You know, they've actually been able to retain some guys. There's some
Right.
continuity there with Boley, Briggs, Coleman, Fatanu, and Hananajor all being here from last year, as was Bram Walden. Who's also going to be a bit of a swing guy. He played well last year at times when he wasn't hurt.
Right.
Lots of like there. Sean Naa looks like he was initially slated to be the starter at right guard.
Right.
But he's got a leg injury right now. Looks like he's probably going to be out the first 4 games.
Right.
So, which is unfortunate because as a true freshman last year, he played some big snap at tackle. He was kind of the glue guy last year, and they had him slated to start at guard this year before his injury. And then you got a couple. It's interesting. On the 2 deep, you got a couple true freshmen in Champ Westbrooks, who was very highly rated coming out, one of the top offensive lineman recruits in the country, as well as Terrell Kim. So some true freshmen in the mix as well. Will be very interesting to see kind of who separates themselves and who builds themselves up for the future. But I like the rotation that they have here. Got a couple guys who can play either left or right side at both tackle and guard. Then of course, you got Fatanu kind of holding it down in the middle. So I think this unit is in much better shape than it was last year, and that's definitely a good sign.
They
had some of those injuries even before the season, and then in the early part of last season, you kind of tell things were going down from there.
Yeah. Well, you have an honest 2.5 deep rotation going here, which is it's so important.
Which is what you want. I mean, that's really how it is supposed to be with the offensive line, and hopefully it'll continue to stick. I think Kate Briggs actually he is capable. He can play center if you need him to in a pinch.
Correct.
But that guy, I mean, it feels like he played just about everywhere along the old line last year. So a lot to like out of this group. I can't wait to see them, get downhill and start blocking for that talented running back group. I feel like this is kind of this, and the running backs will be the strength of this team this year. Again, assuming they can stay healthy, and all that stuff. Moving on to the defense, and defensive line kind of underwent some changes from last year. They were able to hang on to a few guys in Clayton Smith and Prince Dorba, who certainly flashed at times last year at pass rushers. But it was the inside guys that you really needed to upgrade, because the teams at times would run at will on the Devils. And I like some of the moves that they made. Obviously, they retained Cullen Feet, who was a true freshman last year. He was over 300 pounds. He's actually slimmed down to 295.
He looks great.
It still looks like he's going to play a huge role on this defense.
All that baby fat is gone. He looks like a real ball player this year. Yeah, he's still a gap guy. He's not, and he does give you a push, but he's not, and his technique. Last year he was in here. He's out here now. He's locked out.
That's Deron Reynolds, because you were kind of complaining last year about Vince Amy's coaching style. Just getting them. You got to get them out here, not in here.
Right.
I think Cullen Feet certainly benefited from that.
And they were hand fighting this close. You can't if you're out here and you get the guy off of you, but
But I like some of the transfers that they brought in on the inside. Zach Swanson's a big guy as well.
Right.
He's probably going to play on the other side. He's playing on the same D tackle spot as Swanson, or as Feet. They'll kind of rotate there, but Swanson's 6'4", 290. There's another big body in there. And then one of the surprises of camp has been Jeff Clark and his ability to play. He started at Louisville, then transferred to Georgia State before he came to Tempe, and he's really shined out there. He's been a very big surprise. His ability to get into the backfield, a lot to like from him. I'm definitely looking forward to watching him play. And then a very rare U of A transfer, Rich Kongaika, is here, and he'll be platooning the other D tackle spot with Jeff Clark, and definitely looking forward to watching him as well. He's had a few plays in camp too. And then on the outside, you got guy Justin Watley, who's a Cincinnati transfer. Very nice get from him. And then one of the most improved players from last year, this year, Dillingham has just raved about Elijah O'Neal and what he's done thus far. Lots to like from him at the pass rusher spot as well.
Yeah, I like down here in the reserves. I really had my eye on this kid. Who came from Louisiana. Yeah, Roman Petrie. He was big body, fast, and I just I like his game. So he'll be in the mix.
I mentioned Clayton Smith as one of the, he's just a great pass rusher, great athlete. They actually put him out on offense a few times last year.
Right.
Very, very good player. Very, lots to like about him. And then, Prince Dorba is, slated to be at the other end spot when he gets back. He's dealing with a leg injury right now. Probably going to miss the first few games, but that'll create opportunity for other players in the meantime. But he was really looking, like one of the more dominant players in camp before he got hurt. So looking forward to when he gets back. And then, you mentioned Roman Petrie. True freshman Albert Smith III is also in the mix. Jamon Tapp as well. Tristan Monday was a transfer from Wisconsin last year. Looking forward to watching him get back out there. And then another transfer, J.P. Dieter, is also in the mix. He's only a redshirt sophomore, so he should certainly be in the team's plans going forward. But they're going to need
just to finish up.
Just one more thing on the D line. I really want to see this unit be better against the run this year. I feel like that's what they were built for. It's what they've been geared towards. That was a focal point of this coaching staff, from bringing in Deron Reynolds to the way that they recruited and hit the transfer portal to get these players. I feel like that's what, especially on the inside, that's what their focus is going to be on, stopping the run. And they'll get a big test in game one against a Wyoming team that loves to pound the rock.
Yeah, if you'll see, folks, a big improvement in technique up front. Big improvement. So we are much deeper. We have our true rotation, and the technique is better. So I expect it.
Lots to like from this unit as well. Yeah, definitely. So moving on to linebackers, another big time transfer that I know you and I are both very excited about. Keyshawn Elliott from New Mexico State, a guy who's just a tackling fiend out there. That guy, he always seems to be around the ball. He plays downhill. He wraps up. He's got great technique. And he's going to be the quarterback out there. He's going to be the guy kind of telling everybody where to line up and what have you. Definitely somebody you want to watch, because, when the quarterback comes to the line and he's pointing out, where guys are, he's going to be pointing at Keyshawn Elliott, because they need to know where he is at all times.
Yeah, he's wearing the earpiece, folks. And what's so beautiful about his game is he is see ball, get ball. He knows well. At least in camp, he knew every tell, and he was guessing right on A gap, B gap. But he was, and it wasn't even funny after a while. But he is the fastest linebacker. We have to get outside and make the play too. So just expect him to be. You're going to hear, and by design. This is not just my observation. Kenny Dillingham has told me that by design, he should have the most tackles this year. So you'll hear his name a lot.
He'll be easy to spot because he wears a middle linebacker's number, 44.
There you go.
You ASU fans probably remember the Manimal, Dale Robinson, also number 44. And then also at linebacker, you'll probably see three guys most of the time, especially Saturday. The base defense is nickel, but they should play more of a straight 4-3 on Saturday. So you probably see both Cyrus Fiasu and Jordan Crook, in addition to, Caleb McCullough and a few other guys out there as well. But Fiasu comes over from San Diego State, was another guy who was a captain on that team. Definitely looking forward to watching his game. Liked what I saw out of his film. Jordan Crook's another guy who's kind of come up through the ranks in camp. He's a transfer, but really wasn't a lot of expectation on him coming into the season. He's worked his way in the starting lineup, and then a guy who spent his entire career here at ASU, Caleb McCullough. Good to see him out there, the redshirt senior. I think one of the only players on the roster with 4 varsity letters in football. So looking forward to seeing him out there again. When he started last year when there were some injuries in the linebacking core and played extremely well. And then Tate Romney has got a broken arm right now. He's probably going to be out at least 6 games. It could be more, but probably won't see him until the latter half of the season.
He was vying for a job there for a long time in camp. He was mixing up. He was in rotation.
He was a starter last year, so why not? Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't he?
Well,
and then you'll see Martell Hughes and Kavion Thunderbird. Kavion Thunderbird, by the way, best name in college football. In my opinion.
The dude, he makes plays when he's in there too. I'll tell you. So he's taking advantage of his opportunity. Just keep your eye on Kavion.
Yes.
But, yeah. So we've got this. This is a strong room, guys. This is a real strong room. It's stronger than last year.
I like what I saw. I like what I saw to them at the Tonazona scrimmage. They played very disciplined. Got their hands on a few balls. Especially when you got three out there. Definitely looking forward to seeing what they do, especially Keyshawn Elliott in this defense that is a fast, attacking, downhill defense that likes to get its hands on the ball. I really want to see what this unit can do.
They're ball hawks, dude. They are freaking ball hawks, man.
Speaking of ball hawks, let's get into these DBs because this is going to be a very interesting group. Bunch of new corners on this roster.
Right.
Ed Woods transferred to Michigan State. Jordan Clark, Notre Dame. Bro Torrance, he's playing in the NFL now. So you got a couple of sophomores, and Javon Robinson and Keith Abney II taking over the 2 outside spots. And then in the nickel, Shamari Simmons, the safety, will play some there. But you got another sophomore, Cole Martin, who'll be playing at the nickel spot as well. We'll see what this group looks like. I mean, the fact that they're so young will be very interesting. But I'm looking forward to seeing what this group can do. A lot to like here with their size. Certainly,
length. Yeah, less of length.
5'11", 175, 195, both of these guys. So, young players certainly don't have a lot of experience, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they ball out come Saturday. And then the safety room looks to be a serious strength of this team, especially with Xavion Alford, who had to sit out last year. That is a hungry man right there.
Yes,
that is a guy who has been itching to get back out on the field. The guy who transferred over from USC was expected to be a starter last year, was forced to sit out by the NCAA, much like Jake Smith. And he's a guy who's played himself, with his just sheer athleticism, sheer athleticism at the safety spot. Plays a very good center field. He can run sideline to sideline very well, but you can also bring him into the box. He has that capability to be that versatile. And then Shamari Simmons was one of the leaders on this defense last year, just a tackling machine at safety. He's fun to watch, number 7.
Solid. Yeah, Mr. Reliable back there.
Very, very interesting. And then you'll also see the ghost, Miles Rouser, who the coaching staff has just raved about. They love his ability. They're going to find ways to get this kid out on the field. Don't be surprised if Shamari Simmons doesn't come down into the nickel spot and Miles Rouser takes over the other safety spot on certain packages. Lot to like in this safety room. They are going to be fun to watch.
So then you got a freshman at Bimage.
Yep.
Right.
Rodney Bimage Jr. Also in the mix. But Terrence Welch, I thought might come in and start right away because he's coming over from LSU. But he's on the two deep at the moment. You should still see him at some point. But yeah, I like his size. He's 6'1", 195. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll see him on the field at some point. And then, sticking with the safeties, Montana Warren looked like he was going to get a lot of snaps last year before he got hurt. Definitely looking forward to a bounce back year from him. I'm sure he'll see plenty of the field last year. He was a true freshman and he was still getting a lot of run last year. He was forced to redshirt. And then you got Kamari Wilson, who, you could see a lot. Him and Miles Rouser could kind of rotate between the two of them. They have Rouser, Wilson, and Alford all listed at starting safety. So it'll be interesting to see.
There's a lot of oars next to
a lot of ore on that depth chart because there's a lot of guys they want to work into the starting lineup and get some reps out of. It's going to be an interesting group, and certainly I think one of the strengths of this team is that safety position. So just kind of finishing up here, putting a button on the 2024 Sun Devils, the specialists. We can't forget about the special teams. It is a third of the game for a reason. And Kicker's going to be kind of platooning a little bit this year because you got Ian Hershey, who punted a little bit last year, kind of struggled at it. He's probably the most consistent one in a bad room, to be honest. But he's going to be probably your kickoff specialist. Parker Lewis comes over from USC.
Saguaro guy.
Kid.
What?
Yep, local kid.
He went from SC. He went from SC. Didn't he go to Ohio State after SC? Yeah, this is his third school. Third school.
And he's now that he's healthy, he was hurt for a little bit. Right. Now that he's healthy, it looks like he's going to have a stranglehold on the place kicker job. But you could see Karsten Kiefer, the freshman, was a local kid, and the grandson of a good friend of ours.
Nap Lawrence.
Nap Lawrence. Yes, Nap Lawrence. And and then punter, they brought in Kenyon Floyd as a transfer. He's got a big leg. Certainly someone that they're looking forward to because that was a problem last year. Punting in the field position game was a problem for this team last year.
We had Cam Scattaboo punting last year.
I know. Yes, they Cam Scattaboo left-footed punt last year, and Parker Lewis can also punt, so you could see him out there as well. And then you got the long snapper there, and then I'm amazed how many local guys and ASU guys are long snapping in the NFL.
Yeah, one of them just made a squad. Hudson. Harper.
And then you got kick returners. Melquan Stovall, of course, he's going to play, and you're going to see quite a bit of him in the slot. But he's a very good returner as well, and you'll see him on punt returns and punt and kick returns. Jake Smith as well, and then we know what Jordan Tyson's capable of at firsthand as a punt returner. So he's a dangerous guy, and definitely looking forward to seeing what he can do as well. So a lot to like on this team. Certainly, you want to go out there and see what they do in a game situation. They'll have their hands full with this Wyoming team here come Saturday as we roll on here on Running with the Devils. Our season predictions, though, we've got to get into that. Here presented by the Valley Athletic Booster Club to support local athletics. Check out valleyathleticboosterclub.com. And, we always like to pick our players of the year on offense. I'm going with wide receiver Jordan Tyson. He'll be easy to spot. Big number 0 was the, blur going down the sideline with the ball. I'm looking forward to big things from this kid. He really flashed at Colorado a couple years ago and unfortunately didn't, bounce some injuries last year. But he's healthy now, and I'm looking forward to seeing him get plenty of catches this.
I'll tell you that he started out in camp this fall a little it wasn't the best camp, but he finished really strong.
Yes.
He finished like, all the time off and everything really all started to click at the last 2-3 weeks of camp. So I'm really happy to see that. He's going to be he's going to be a fan favorite for sure.
Yeah, fun player to
And,
watch. Yeah.
and then my big breakout guy. Once he gets healthy, folks, just in camp we all call him the motorbike, the motorcycle. You just hit that gas and boom, it's like instant speed. Wait till you see Ray Leak hit. He gets outside and he's got a lane. Just it's crazy fast,
Yes.
crazy. We haven't had
Yeah,
this.
he's got another gear that
It's pretty. It's
it's
instant.
when you see it happen, it's just like whoa.
Yeah. Um,
We saw a little bit of it in the spring game,
right.
and I knew when you mentioned it, I was like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I see it, and I see it.
Mm-hmm.
He once he gets on the field and he's healthy, yeah, cannot wait to watch him get the ball in his hands out in
I
space.
just hope he gets in. I think Mississippi State will be a really good test for him. He'll be going up against a nice SEC, albeit bottom third kind of tier SEC team. It's still going to be a great
Hey, it's
test to
still
see.
SEC. They still recruit really well. They still
Oh,
got that speed going. That's not a team you want to take lightly.
no,
Um,
no. We'll
and then
talk about that next week.
Yeah,
But
oh yeah, of course. Next week, yes.
all
And
the
then my
implications.
defensive player of the year is going to be pass rusher Clayton Smith. Like what he did coming over from Oklahoma last year. Um, looked like one of the best pass rushers on the field.
Hmm.
Battled some injuries as most of the team did last year. But if he can stay healthy, I like him to get double-digit sacks this year. I feel like he has that ability. He's got prototypical size. He's
Oh,
very tough to block. I mean, they used him on offense last year. That's how good of an athlete he
right.
is. Um,
But he knocks
there's
down
just so
balls.
much to like about this guy. I
He
feel
get
like he can. Yeah, he just goes out there and makes plays. I feel like that's what he does. And I'm looking forward to seeing him do plenty of that this year. Hopefully, he can stay healthy.
Yeah. One thing I'll tell you, folks, is our D line coaches really has shown these guys how to get their hands up in the right and
Yes.
knock down. Well, you're gonna see a lot
Now
of
they've
balls
used the
knocked
right
down.
technique as well. I think
Mm,
that's only going to help him.
yeah. And then my big defensive player is going to be Shamari, just for the fact that he's the most experienced guy out there. He's seen a lot of balls, and he's versatile. He can play the nickel. He can play the safety. He can come up if they have to play corner. But he's our most versatile um, uh, uh, guy in the back end, and he just loves to make plays. So
Yeah.
and you'll hear his name a lot. So
Yeah.
that's it
Looking
for our
Yeah,
players of the
and
year.
then for moving on, my offensive MVP is going to be Lee Fatanu, the center. I feel like he's going to be leading a resurgent offensive line going into this season. Hopefully, again, if they can stay healthy, they got a chance to be a unit that can really road grade some people with this running back room. I'm really excited about what this running game can
Right.
mean to this offense and what they can do. And I feel like Lee Fatanu, the center, who's on the Remington Award watch list, is going to be the guy leading the way.
Yeah, you watch it, and I know from what film, he doesn't make mistakes. People are not
Yeah,
getting there. He's watching that A gap, and he's just not. I think he probably has the.
making the calls, yeah, doing all
Yeah,
that. I know. Mm-hmm.
he's really good at figuring out where that middle's coming. And everybody knows, Cam Scadaboo is a great fan favorite. A leaner, quicker Scadaboo who's still hard to bring down. He's tough as
Yes.
nails. You're gonna just love his heart. He really, really, he gets it. This kid is just destined for great things this year. And I'm just going to tell you folks, from everything I've seen, Max at the right tackle, and when he gets out in polls, it's scary good. Um, his athleticism and his ability to take out anybody who gets in his way. So yeah, and I think he'll be these teams that like to we're going to load the box, forget it. Well, and we're going to talk about the defense here in a second from Wyoming, but it plays basically a 4-2-5. But
Yeah.
anyway, but let's get into the defensive MVP here.
Yeah, and then our defense, we both agree on the defensive MVP. Keyshawn
Yeah,
Elliott, number 44. We like what he's brought to this defense. Love what he's done in camp. Obviously, when the lights come on Saturdays, he's still got to go out there and perform. But we both feel like he's the guy who can do it, and like what he's bringing to the table.
right.
Guy plays downhill. He's got great speed. Plays really well sideline to sideline. This guy
Oh,
doesn't need to come off the field. He's a 3 down middle linebacker. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching him play, and I feel like he is going to be that defensive MVP.
Very articulate young man, and he is a natural leader. He's the Tillman leadership council guy, and for a reason. He just commands everybody's respect out there. I can't say enough about how important the middle position is in any defense, but especially Brian Ward's defense. He's the anchor.
Yeah. Um, so moving on here, my bold prediction for this year, which is something that we feel like, maybe not a lot of people are expecting to happen, but I'm going to say they will upset one of these three: Utah, Kansas, or Arizona. I feel like this team will come together at the right time. They'll catch one of these teams at the wrong time for them, and be able to pull off an upset that's really going to set the tone for this team going into year three, that they can hang their hat on and say, hey, we did this. Let's go out there and do it every single week going forward.
Yeah, and when you look at the schedule, I never really study what the other team's schedule is like. But remember, what happens a lot of times was if one of these three teams gets beat by somebody and gets really beat up, how the effect that has the next week, right? And we might just catch. Well, you're right. We might catch one of these guys and I guarantee you that being picked last has a great advantage. Everybody's gonna be looking past us. Easy patty cake win. We're gonna play smash mouth football.
Yep.
I love where we're at right now. This is going to be a good thing. So I cannot disagree with your assessment of that an upset's going to occur here. I just feel, just based on what I'm seeing and the emphasis, the fact that we had really two turnovers last year, was it? Or we had 0 turnovers.
We had 0 for an extended period of time,
right.
and then in against Washington State we had like 3 or 4, and then I think we finished with maybe 5 on the season.
Well,
but you're right. It definitely wasn't enough.
Well, this is Brian Ward's hallmark, and what made his career was the fact that he teaches his kids how to get, how to ball hawk, how to strip balls, how to do all the tricks to get. And I'm going to predict at least 18 turnovers. Now, just to put that in context, in our conference, Kansas led the conference with 24. I'm not saying we're at that level yet, but I think you're going to be very, very surprised at the defensive production of this group. Just from what I'm seeing, what I'm seeing in practice.
I mean, if they're able to do that and play like a bend but don't break type defense that relies on turnovers, that is going to key the offense, put them in good field position for them to put up some points on the board. So, yeah, I can certainly see that happening.
Two more attempts with for the offense to touch the ball is huge in college football, right?
Especially if they're doing it in enemy territory.
Right. But you'll see the technique out there is very marked. So final records. You're kind of at the floor. You're at the floor, aren't you?
Not the floor necessarily, but I think that 5-7 I think is a step in the right direction, especially after 2 straight seasons of 3-9. That's this working. That's Dilly's methodology, his philosophies, his coaching style. That's this working. And I feel like with what they have, especially given the quarterback position, recently Pro Football Focus ranked all 70 Power 4 quarterbacks. Well, actually, all 70 quarterbacks in Division One.
Right.
Major football, and Sam Levitt came in 66.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he should be quite that low, but nevertheless, given where they're at with the quarterback position, the fact that this offense could be a little bit one-dimensional, I think you will see some market improvement in the defense. Don't get me wrong, but they're going the defense and the running game is going to have to carry this team through most of this season. Hopefully they will. That'll open up the play action game, certainly. But again, those are some big ifs. Yeah. So I still feel like this team can go 5-7. Based on the schedule that they got, there are some rough patches though. Especially when you look at, the fact that they have to go, they have Kansas at home, and then 6 days later they got Utah. that's not an easy stretch. Granted, that's, those 2 weeks, those 2 games are coming off a bye
Right.
after the Texas Tech game, but then you got to go to Cincinnati. Granted, I think that's still a winnable game, but then after another bye, you got to go to Oklahoma State, and then you got Kansas State, BYU, and at Arizona to finish up the season. Definitely not the easiest stretch there either. So yeah, I think that 5-7 is a good marking point for a step in the right direction. Certainly, usually look at a coach's year 3 as kind of the time to make their move and to have a great season.
Yeah.
That, to me, if you can get to 5-7, that's going in the right direction. Obviously, I want them to be 6-6. I want to be proven wrong, but that's looking at this team right now without them having actually played a game. That's
that's fair. I mean, you really are bringing in a quarterback that has not played a lot, does not, and the quarterback's your most important player. And that's where I say I think they know exactly what they have. They're not going to put him in a position to have to, to win all these games on his own. I think he's going to be a game manager, and they're going to rely on the defense to carry us, and a deep running back room. We're going to run the crap out of the ball, folks.
Yes.
Yeah, with this deep. So I think there is 6 wins out there. I've gone through it 100 times, and there's all kinds of teams. I look at teams like Texas Tech that are not as deep as they used to be. I look at in our conference, there's a lot of teams who are not what we think they were. Like Baylor's not anywhere close to where we thought they were anymore. I mean, it's really rare. There's no precedent for Kansas and Kansas State to be this good this long, right? It just
not really, but you look at their coaching, especially Lance Leipold. That guy, I'm surprised he hasn't left for
I thought he was going to get poached.
I'm surprised nobody's back at the Brinks truck for him yet.
I thought he was going to get poached.
He is a heck of a coach. He is probably the best coach in this conference, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has done it so fast, so quick, so right, and brought in the recruits, taken away from all kinds of really good programs he's taking kids away from. But yeah, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to tell you that
it's been so long since Kansas has been consistently good that, I mean, yeah, you'd like to think at some point they're going to come back down to earth. But as long as Lance Leipold's there and as long as he's recruiting the way he is, I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't know they have the resources to keep him like they have a Gundy and a Whittingham. That's
another thing too. That's what I was going to ask you. Is Kyle Whittingham's announced his retirement? He will retire at the end of this year.
Right.
Is that going to be a distraction for Utah, even with Cameron Rising, their quarterback, coming back?
How many years has he been there now? This is his like 7th.
God, I thought it was like, well, yeah, because he took over for Urban Meyer, I believe.
Oh no, I'm talking. But I'm talking about Cam Rising's 7th year.
Oh, his 7th. Yes, his 7th. I beg your pardon.
And you know who else has a 7th-year quarterback this year? And I do not sleep on him. Or Oklahoma State has a 7th-year quarterback.
Yep.
He's not. He wasn't in the program last year.
Not Cam Rising, that's for sure.
No, he's not a Cam Rising. But I'm going to that game because I have family there, and I'm really looking forward to getting over the hump with these guys.
You went there 2 years ago too, didn't you?
Yeah, and I had a whole bunch of them out here last year, and it's amazing how Gundy really takes what he's got and gets the most out of those kids, and he's got a great approach for how to stay fresh in the 4th quarter. So yeah, we got our hands full. We have a really tough schedule. I just welcome the opportunity to go play those guys and to help start recruiting some better players.
Exactly. If you have that increase in level of competition, you're gonna get eyeballs on you. You're gonna get people interested. You're gonna get recruits. So
absolutely,
I'm perfectly fine with this. And then as we move on here to our Wyoming preview, the Cowboys come into Tempe with a 9-4 record in 2023 under Craig Ball, who's been their coach since 2016. They didn't win less than 9 games except for 2020.
Right.
So they were very successful under him. And when he came over from North Dakota State, They beat Texas Tech last year. They took Texas. They were 10-10. They were tied 10-10 with Texas in the fourth quarter last year. And this is the same Texas team that went to the college football playoff. And then they go into a bowl game here down in Tucson and beat Toledo. And then Craig Bowl retires. They promote from within, which, if you look at the history of college football, has a mixed track record. But Jay Sawvell's the new head coach up there in Laramie. He hires Jay Johnson from Michigan State, their OC. Craig Bowl's son, Aaron Bowl, who was the linebackers coach last year, is the new DC. And they're kind of starting from scratch a little bit on offense. Their quarterback, Presley, was a multi-year starter. They're losing a lot of production out of the receiver room. But the strength of this team is definitely on their defense, and they allowed just 20 points a game. They forced a lot of turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
This is much like ASU. Strength of this team, at least going into 2024, looks to be their defense.
Right.
But we'll start with their offense and their new quarterback, Evan Swoboda.
Local kid.
Coming in, they weren't super productive last year on offense, but they still won 9 games, scoring 25 points a game. They're definitely a run-first team. Swoboda was kind of their change of pace quarterback. He played in 10 games last year, but only completed 23 balls for 200 yards and didn't even throw a touchdown. He was more of a runner, but he's a load. He can run, and he's a load at 6'5", 245. Ran for 25 times for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns last year. He's going to be hard to bring down. This guy can get physical, run between the tackles. Definitely a guy you're gonna have to body up and get your friends in on the action to bring down.
His longest pass in the games he threw was 20 yards. So my question to you is, are we gonna load the box?
Given the fact that and we'll get into their receivers here in just a minute, but the fact that they're very inexperienced, they don't have a lot of production returning in the receiving corps, I would say yes. Even with our young corners, definitely don't necessarily want to put them on an island in the first game, but against a team that so obviously is a run first team, especially at their quarterback spot, I feel like you almost have to.
Right.
And that's we'll get into that more in our keys to the game.
Yeah.
But a big news coming out of from Wyoming, a couple of weeks ago during their scrimmage, their very talented running back Harrison Whaley, who had almost 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns last year, hurt his knee and is going to be out probably a couple weeks. But he's definitely not going to play Saturday. So that falls on the change of pace back, Jamari Farrell, who's a little bit undersized. He's only about 5'10", about 185. He's kind of the scat back, water bug type guy. 52 carries, 188 yards, and a touchdown last year. But the guy I think will get the bulk of the carries will be North Carolina transfer DJ Jones. He's about 5'10", about 210, 215. He's a decent size. But that's a guy that I think that they'll, put the bell cow tag on, and he'll be the one getting the bulk of the carries, coming into this week with Whaley out. And I talked about the receiving corps. Not a lot of production coming back. Alex Brown's their top returning receiver. He had just 8 catches for 106 yards. But watch out for their tight end, John Michael Gillenborg. Very, very productive last year. 23 catches, 360 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And he was the number 2 tight end last year. So, they'll definitely find ways to get him the ball. And then that offensive line is big and physical, and they're anchored by Nofo Afia Tulafono. Almost got through that. Thank you. And guard Jack Walsh. They'll anchor that offensive line that keyed 159 yards rushing per game last year. Their quarterback last year, Presley, was also a runner. So they're keyed around. I mean, you look at Josh Allen when he was there. He was a runner. They have a prototype for the quarterback that they want to run their offense. And they're big, physical, good athletes who can use their legs. to beat the opposition. And then you get into the defense, and this certainly should be, at least on paper, the strength of this team. They allowed just 22 points a game last year, 23rd in the nation in scoring defense. They were susceptible to pass a little bit, but they did force 20 turnovers. But they're having to replace some people as well. But up front, they're very, very tough. Jordan Bertinol was an all Mountain West performer last year, 60 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, a couple pass deflections. And then on the edge, Sebastian Harsh is a guy who likes to get after the quarterback. He had 3 sacks last year as well. They're very tough up front. Yep. They're very sound, they don't get out of their lanes very often, very disciplined. They're going to be very tough to move the ball against. And then linebacker, Chase Suia Noah is one of their top returning performers. He definitely fills up the stat sheet. 93 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, and an interception. And then they brought over just a guy that everybody seems to call a tackling machine, Evan Heller, who had over 200 sacks at VMI. And then they also have Connor Shea, who's experienced as a senior. Not a lot of production at one of the outside spots, but a guy who's worked his way into that starting lineup and should see some more reps this year. And then another All Mountain West performer. Sorry, go ahead.
I gotta say that it appears that this linebacking core is probably the heart and soul of that defense.
Along with the D line, yes, I think that D line, they got some good size. They have some size to them. They're good tacklers.
They get after you.
They don't make very many mistakes. They're just very technically sound, and that and you couple that with a linebacking core that they don't miss tackles either. This is a team that will make you work for every single thing that you get on the ground. Because that front seven is they're not going to wow you with their athleticism or their speed necessarily, but they will get after it. They'll come at you, and they won't back down, and they certainly know how to tackle and wrap up. So don't look for a lot of missed tackles that result in big plays on Saturday. And then another All Mountain West performer from last year, the leader of this defense is Wyatt Eckler. If the name sounds familiar, he's the little brother of running back Austin Eckler. 77 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, 7 pass deflections from last year. That's a guy who can get after you in a lot of different ways. He plays the pass as well as he plays the run. They'll bring him into the box. They'll line him up all over the place, and he can definitely get after it.
Nice.
And then moving on here, Rook Brown is another guy that they'll move all over the place as well. He gets mentioned among the safeties quite a bit, but he's listed as a corner. 3 interceptions last year. And then their other safety, Isaac White, is another guy who just racks them up when it comes to tackles. 61 last year to go along with a sack and an interception. And their top returning corner. This might be their corners are not necessarily as experienced. Tyrekus Davis with just 27 tackles and an interception and 7 pass deflections last year. And then they got a bunch of inexperienced guys behind him. So that might be where they're vulnerable. If you can get protection for Levitt, you might be able to pick on some of those young corners a little bit. But we'll have to see. So keys to the game, presented by Sleep in Heavenly Peace, a great nonprofit that builds beds for kids in need. Check out and support Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And for me, you got to make Svoboda beat you with his arm. This is a guy you just look at his stats. He's not someone that's going to wow you with his throwing ability, especially downfield. They're not going to throw the ball deep a lot with this young receiving core. Pass to keep you honest. But if you can contain that Wyoming rushing attack and not let them move the chains downfield very much with you, I feel like you put yourself in a good position defensively to shut them down. this, especially going into this is his first year as the full-time starter. It's
Yeah.
just kind of been a change of pace, gadget, just kind of sub in type player.
Some of you may remember him
up until this point.
Yeah, you guys may remember him from he was the Red Mountain quarterback, and he
Yes.
very productive there.
The only Arizona native on the roster, actually. Yeah, he was the Mesa Red Mountain quarterback.
Oh,
That's right.
great athlete. Yeah, he ran track. He I think he played 3 sports. He lettered in 3 sports. Had almost a 3.9 3.8.
I mentioned his size, 6'5", 245 at the quarterback spot. That's a guy that's a load right there. That's going to be someone who's tough to bring down.
He was well recruited. I wouldn't say top D1 schools, but he went off to Snow College in Utah to get himself physically really ready to play. He was a great student, had a 3.86 grade point average. But I just remember talking to his coach in high school, saying, raving about the kid, that he was a real natural athlete. But he's gotten bigger since then.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, I think that if you contain him and that, under, that rushing attack without their top returning rusher, I feel like you put yourself defensively in a good chance to contain them and not let them beat you. And then on offense, and this is going to be a theme throughout the season because the strength of this ASU offense is its rushing attack. You've got to establish the run.
Right.
Wear down that Cowboys defense, keep the chains and the clock moving.
That's right.
I feel like if you can do that, it'll open up the downfield passing game. And, you got a great stable of running backs. You have an offensive line that looks to be, very effective at moving guys off the ball. Just from the get-go, hopefully this rushing attack can get after it. And even though this, Wyoming front looks they're big, they're physical, they're tough. Hopefully this offensive line can manhandle them a little bit and keep that ground attack going. That would be and maybe then the elements will kind of take over the rest.
I'm going to say we're welcome to the House of Heat, and the fact that we will throw 2.5. We're going to throw a lot of bodies at you on the offensive line. Which is really going to work in our favor this year.
Yeah, I think in those tight ends, certainly those big physical tight ends that they have are going to play a role in this game as well, as they probably will all season in this rushing attack. So hopefully that will be the case, and they'll be able to put some points on the board through the ground, because that's probably going to, at least until Levitt kind of finds his feet and gets a little bit more effective through the air. That's probably how you're going to have to put points on the board that way.
Yeah, I feel like the only way Cowboys can really beat us is if their defense is just they come out and play a really, really good game, and while they may be, it's typical where it takes a few games before offenses really find their identity. You can say the thing for this looks like a very defensive oriented team. They're going to have to really be firing all cylinders to beat us. So. If we sustain drives, it might be boring football, but the goal is to wear them out in the heat, keep the chains moving. So I'm a lot like you in terms of how to sustain drives. I think the new offensive coordinator gets it in terms of that is he's not looking for this young quarterback Sam Levitt to be the big hero. Sam has learned over 1,500 snaps. Not that he's not going to score on every play. He has learned how to throw the ball away. And it was only kind of the last half of camp that he started throwing the ball away.
Let's find her down.
Yeah, and I think they're very conscious of third and manageable kind of situations and not getting too far behind the chains. So then on defense, we got to get we're going to get off the field. So with this ball hawking team, the depth we have, I think 3 and outs is really going to be a real hallmark, really what you want to look for right now in this.
If you can get, I think if you can get 2 turnovers.
Yep, you're going to win.
Or at least +2.
+2, you're going to win.
Yeah, I feel like you definitely put yourself in a good spot to win against this team.
Yep.
So
and they're capable.
We'll see. But that's our keys to the game presented by Sleep in Heavenly Peace for week 1. Moving on to our predictions. I have this as still a one-score game. I feel like it will be a bit of a low-scoring contest.
Mhm.
I have it 24-16. I feel like this is a game that ASU should win. It should take over. They should be able to dominate in certain aspects. But that Wyoming team, they're no cupcake. They're not going to come in expecting to be pushed around. They're going to push back, believe me. And I think at some point they'll get loose and they'll put a few points on the board, and they may even add one late to make this a game. And ASU may need to recover an onside kick to win it, but I still feel like they'll come away with a victory. They're only favored by 7.5 coming into this game, so I think that ASU covers. But other than that, I think just coming out of this with a victory, I think that's all you're really looking for.
Yeah, I think we beat that spread. I think with all the weapons, all the depth, and the ability to manage this game, I think we'll come out on top, 30-17. I do see special teams playing a big role in this game at some point. So, yeah,
now it sounds like a broken record.
Well, that's my thing, baby. Special teams. It's a third of the game.
And hey, I hope I'm wrong. I hope ASU goes out there and lights it up, but I just don't see them doing that at this point. Hopefully, Lev will be able to deliver on some downfield throws a little bit, and the offensive line should give him some time. This isn't a Wyoming team that will get after it a little bit, but they defensively they had a couple guys with 4 sacks last year, but I mean nobody really stood out. Sebastian Harsh is their top returning pass rusher with 3. This is not an elite pass rushing defense. They're more technically sound. They're going to try and keep things in front of them. They're not going to let teams beat them for big plays. So I think that, about their average for last year, which was about 23 points,
23
is fine, but that still should be enough for ASU to win. I think if they get to that 24-point mark with the way that this Wyoming offense is kind of set up at this point, and ASU's defense being where it is, you should give yourself a good chance to win.
There you go.
Yep. So that'll do it for episode 1 this of the 2024 season. 7:30 kickoff at Mountain America Stadium on Saturday. Be there early.
Bring a friend. Bring 2 friends.
Come tailgate. Yes. Hey, ASU was giving out a lot of free tickets. I got a couple extras myself. So we hope to see you there, and we say good night. Another season, Big John. Can't wait to get started. We'll be talking ASU football with you guys every single week. So we say good night. Go Devils. Beat the Plowboys.
Beat them. Let's do it.